if you're British watching this right now, if you're like a Labour voter watching this right now, it's got to feel like this is the X that got away, and you have to be really reconsidering like how things turned out the way that they did. Okay. All right. Labour wins by a landslide. Let's look at the Starmer versus Blair versus Corbyn comparisons.
Starmer is going to essentially more or less match what Tony Blair achieved in 1997 when it comes to seats in Parliament. But here's what's interesting. Look, this is how many votes across the country, how many people voted for Tony Blair and how those votes stacked up over the course of the count. Let's just compare that with what we've just seen for Keir Starmer. Just have a look at that. Okay, so that is the number of votes that Keir Starmer has achieved, and just look at how far short it is of the number of people who voted for Tony Blair in 1997. It's even short of the number of people who voted for Jeremy Corbyn in 2017, who obviously didn't even get into government. And so you can call that what you want. You can call it a change in the voting system. Well, certainly a representation of the voting system. You can call it efficiency. Whatever you call it, though, it is a thumping majority without a thumping share in the votes.
Yeah, I give 2 years before people are calling him Herr Starmer. I think he's going to be a Macron-style figure that causes so much disdain towards Labour and bring about the Fourth Reich in the UK. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong. But I'm telling you right now, it feels like we're at the precipice. If Keir Starmer continues with austerity, if Keir Starmer continues with privatization, if Keir Starmer continues with conservative policies with a fucking red sticker on it, okay? I'm telling you, if he does that, we're talking Reform UK, whatever the fuck it is. Maybe Reform takes over the Conservative Party entirely. Maybe it's just simply Reform. You're staring at the barrel of a goddamn gun, okay? You are staring down fascist mobilization in the UK like you've never seen. If he continues this, now maybe he doesn't. Maybe he was lying this entire time. In his entire election campaign, he was just lying, and he's secretly a committed Marxist-Leninist, and he's going to do unimaginable good, okay? Maybe. That would be incredibly hopeful. I just don't think that he would do that, especially considering what the party looks like now, what the Labour Party looks like now in comparison to where it was under Jeremy Corbyn, what they did specifically to like Corbynites and anyone who's like ostensibly a real leftist in the Labour Party. You know, Starmer as a white hat centrist is hilarious. Yeah, he just like faked it. He faked being a centrist, and now you will see the real red Labour wave is actually red for communism. The spirit, the specter of communism is haunting the UK. Okay, let's do before we get to the American conversation. Here's Corbyn and his message to the centrists.
On your win, do you want to congratulate Keir Starmer?
It's a fantastic win we've achieved here tonight in Islington North. It's a popular win where people have come forward to support an inclusive democratic campaign. It's a people-powered campaign, and I'm very, very proud of our result. Obviously, as a Labour government elected, congratulations on that. I will be an independent MP, that's what I've been elected as, and I will be there holding that government to account on issues of child poverty, of mental health, and of global peace and environmental demands. And that is what the people of Islington North have asked me to do. But it's also a very strong message that if you tread on democracy within your own party, it has consequences. And so tonight, the people of Islington North have spoken and elected me with 24,000 votes.
But isn't the message, in fact, that when you take the Labour Party to the centre, it wins a landslide? And if that means, you know, you're on the edges of it, sometimes supporting it, sometimes criticising it, well, so be it.
It's a landslide, yes, in seats, but it is a lower vote than has been achieved in many previous elections. It's only 37% of the national poll, and our political system exaggerates parliamentary majorities because of first-past-the-post system. Now, maybe that's a debate for another day, but it comes with it a huge responsibility. We live in a country which is dominated by the power of billionaires and the poverty of millions. I think we need to change that. And I'm not convinced that the Labour manifesto's...
Oh my God. It's like, dude, it's like if you're British watching this right now, if you're like a Labour voter watching this right now, it's got to feel like you f***ed up. Like this is the ex that got away and you're just watching them thrive in some ways. And you have to be really reconsidering like how things turned out the way that they did. Because I 100% believe that Corbyn would have the broad popular mandate in this situation. Oh my God, what a beautiful moment it would be for the UK.
Economic offer will be able to deliver the fundamental changes our society needs. So I'll be a voice to try and bring about greater equality and opportunity for everyone in our society, particularly young people.
Let us just bring in a couple of the people around our table. We have Harriet Harman and Alistair Campbell, and I'm sure they're both keen to talk to you. Harriet.
Well, I think you make the changes that Jeremy says that he espouses by having Labour as the party in government, not by having somebody standing against the party as a maverick on the backbenches. And I think, you know, we've always stood for in the party collective endeavour. Sometimes things go our way, sometimes they don't, but collective endeavour on behalf of the people of the country as a whole. And what Jeremy Corbyn has done is stood out just as an individual and put himself as an individual above social progress for the country as a whole. And I just don't agree with that. I would never do that, put my own interests above the party and the good the party can do the country. So I'm disappointed in you, Jeremy, but I expect that's nothing new.
Well, thank you for what you just said there.
I don't know what to say. There are so many things I want to say, and I am severely limited by the restrictive terms of service on twitch.tv. You will never stop me from thinking the things that I am thinking, but I cannot say it. All I will say is I do not like what she said. It made me upset. Like, it made me very, very upset. Anyway, let's continue.
People of Islington North simply voted for me because we put forward a positive, inclusive campaign, because we offered hope of real change, and also we stood up for democracy within our society when the Labour Party's machinery...
I love that. This is, yeah. In her mind, what Jeremy Corbyn is supposed to do is just die. Like it's not like he was being selfish. Like, she's like, oh, how unimaginably rude that you ran against Labour when they gutted you, when they shanked you, when they deliberately tried to tank the party. Like, what was he supposed to do? Just die? It's really inappropriate that you didn't kill yourself, Jeremy Corbyn. Really, how incredibly cruel and selfish of you. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying right now? Many chatters probably don't know the history, but Jeremy Corbyn was specifically gutted under his leadership internally within the Labour Party. The current administrative, the current people who are controlling the Labour Party specifically were deliberately tanking the Labour Party because they did not want Jeremy Corbyn. They did not want Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party to actually gain momentum. Okay, the people that f***ed him over and deliberately thwarted his chances are now in power. Okay. I'm not just talking about calling him an anti-Semite, okay? I'm not just talking about that, which is one part of it. Keir Starmer played a role in that. I think that with all of that in mind, and I do want to kind of, I don't know, I do want to kind of look into that a little bit today. I do want to, when you consider all of the things that they did, okay, when you consider all the things that they did internally, when you consider how they shanked this man, okay, for being a real one, there's no other way to put it. Okay. Real like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Cinema hours over here. But then now the entire party is like Kirsten Cinema, Joe Manchin. Orospu evladı Hasan. Eyvallah kardeş. Öpüyorum seni. I know the Labor Files is the entire documentary on it. But my point is, what was he supposed to do? Just quit public life altogether? Like after decades of service, he was supposed to just quit because like they f***ed him over? Insane. Shut the f*** up. Suck my dick. Saying that it's like messed up that he even ran against Labour as an independent is insane after what Labour did to him. Okay.
Was destroying democracy in Islington North.
Jeremy, it's Alistair. Would you hope that one day like me, having been expelled from the Labour Party, that you'd get back into it?
Listen, Alistair, we've just had an election. I've been elected as an independent MP. I am very much part of the wider Labour movement. I've been a trade unionist all my life, and I'll be a trade unionist to the day I die. And I will obviously be campaigning and working with people both inside and outside the Labour Party. But I've been elected as an independent, and that's the mandate I've been given.
Jeremy, it's Rory coming in here. Are you worried that Labour's going to come in with a kind of mini austerity? They're signing up to £18 billion worth of spending cuts. They're ruling out any additional borrowing. They're ruling out tax rises. How are they going to be able to invest in public services and get the country going again if they're running on an austerity package?
I think you've taken us straight to the kernel of the problem. If the Labour manifesto doesn't...
I can't believe I'm saying this, but that question is actually really good. He's absolutely right. And that is precisely the reason why I've been so critical. This is the reason why I'm so unimaginably critical of Keir Starmer.
I fought...
Because their mandate is just Tory light. Not even Tory light. It's just straight Tory. It's really f***ed up.
Does offer any substantial changes either in taxation or in redistribution of wealth within our society, then how on earth can you bring about the social changes that are needed? Or are you going to go down the road of further wage freezes on top of the 20% cut in the living standards of the poorest people over the past 15 years? People voted for change and they expect to get it. So I would imagine there's going to have to be some serious heart searching about the economic direction in which this government is going to go, because if it doesn't deliver fundamental change, there's going to be a lot of very angry people out there.
Jeremy, can I ask you one other question? What, if you were still the leader of the Labour Party, what would you do to handle what seems to be one of the developing stories this evening, which is that there is something of the rise of the radical right in this country? What, in your view, is the best way for the Labour Party to tackle that?
Send them to the mines, baby. Send Nigel Farage and the Tories to the mines, okay? We need to increase our agrarian output. That's what I would say. We need re-education camps. We need labor camps, okay? Get the mines back running. Fix the economy by making every lord serve a sentence in the mines. I'm talking a lot about sending people to mines because I'm in Croatia and I got, partisans on the mind a little bit. That's probably part of the reason. It's just, yeah, throw them in the cuck pit.
Good question, Alistair, if I may say so. The rise of the far right across Europe and the titanic struggle that's now going on in France with the second round voting this Sunday is very, very serious. The far right has risen because centre parties have moved to the right to try and mop up the support of the far right. Social democratic and centrist parties have moved a bit to the right with them. And we've had some appalling examples of blaming refugees, blaming migrants, blaming boat people that have made a perilous journey to try and get to a place of safety, as if they're the cause of the social problems of our society. Let's stop blaming minorities and start looking at the fundamental inequalities of our society. The message I put out throughout this campaign in my own constituency of Islington North is I am not getting into that of blaming people who've come, for example, from Bangladesh or somewhere else. I'm instead saying bring people together so we solve our problems together. And I think the rise of the far right is dangerous. You won't beat the far right by conceding the ground to the far right. You have to make a stand against their horrible message of hate and...
How can you not love this guy? How can you not love this guy, dude? I mean, how could I not love this man? He's just right. No notes. He's so right. It's not like he's saying something like totally out of pocket here. It's not like this is an insane assessment to make. It's the correct assessment to make. You don't have to be a astute observer to be able to recognize that. You don't have to be brilliant to recognize that. He's just right. That's it.
Jeremy, just finally, before we lose you, I just want to fill in the viewers on the fact that Johnny Mercer has lost his seat and Therese Coffey, former cabinet minister, has also lost her seat. But I just want to finally ask you also about Labour's position on Israel-Gaza, which has been costly to the party tonight. Jonathan Ashworth has lost his seat. Other people are in trouble over it. What's the lesson?
Well, the lesson is that people are appalled when they see the pictures of the destruction of Gaza.
Yeah, also Corbyn right now, I mean, he'd be getting absolutely cumstered by British media, but low key, given the attitude that the British population has towards Israel right now, that is another moment of pure vindication. He literally would be the perfect Labour candidate. He would get constantly yelled at for anti-Semitism and whatnot. But right now, imagine him leading the Labour Party. Like if he was able to like actually weather the storm. Oh my God.
I got to say, you know, I am a Jeremy Corbyn supporter, and I think the main reason I am is because I feel that his words are backed up by decades of actions. And I'll just say one quick story. When my disabled friends were holding tiny demos all over to try and cling on to their basic human rights, only 2 MPs turned up again and again. And those 2 people were Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell. And I think that shows a real deep commitment to standing up for the rights of people who really need support and help, and of campaigning relentlessly in their own spare time for equality, peace and justice. And that's why I believe he's such a rare breed of politician, because his words are backed up by decades of action.
She's
And
right.
how many
She's so right, dude. God damn, I got chills. She's deaf. Chatters, don't be assholes here, and don't be ableist. It is just like, dude, across the board, he's better than Bernie Sanders. And you know my opinions on Bernie Sanders. Okay. I have loved Jeremy Corbyn for a very long time. I think he's incredible. His only issue is that he's too much of a pacifist, and he didn't have that dog in him. Like, he's the type of person who will commit to a cause and will put his literal body on the line. It doesn't matter, but he's not as vicious as he needs to be, because British politics is filled to the brim with sharks. Is he like UK Bernie? He's better than UK Bernie. He's better than Bernie. Okay. Oh, she has palsy. She's not deaf. Okay, my bad. Regardless. I'm not super familiar with this, but why do people accuse Jeremy Corbyn of being anti-Semitic? Because he has an infallible record. So that was the only mechanism of attack for Corbyn, because he's always been a pro-Palestinian voice in a sea of dissent, in a sea of unified pro-Israeli sentiment. The UK is, in many respects, even worse than America, I would say, in terms of its media and in terms of its in terms of its Israel support. It has the same motivations, I think, that the United States has, in terms of just like it has the same motivations with NATO. Like, they're selling a lot of weapons. There's a lot of trade. There's a lot of economic collaboration and cooperation within the UK and obviously in the United States of America, between US and Israel, UK and Israel. It's just, I mean, to be fair, the British people are responsible for Israel. You know, they did create it. So I think that should probably help you understand it. So it especially at a time when Corbyn has been such an outspoken advocate, saying things like we should be more reasonable about Hezbollah. You know what I mean? That's completely within, that is completely outside of the bounds of reason for anyone over the age of 40, even especially back then when he said that. You know what I mean? Nowadays, there is a lot more leeway for Palestinian emancipation. Demonstrating that kind of sentiment is actually no longer a burden, but a benefit. But back then it was what are you saying? That's crazy. You hate Jews. That was what they hit him with. It's because he was right. He was right. He was always right. He is right. And he was right. And obviously that's part of the reason, him exhibiting that bravery at a time when many people were too cowardly to say anything, I personally think is, I'll tell you this much. There are a lot of leftists who I cooperate with, who I appreciate. There are a lot of center left, leftist, progressive commentators. There's always a voice in the back of my mind, because I always look back at how they treated Jeremy Corbyn. Someone said Mehdi Hasan. That's a good example. Okay. That's a good example. Mehdi Hasan kind of has to do that because he was a little bit too much of a fundamentalist back in the day. So that past haunts him in British politics in general. So I'll give him more leeway than Owen Jones for the most part. You know what I mean? There are there are a lot of people that at the time absolutely played into the anti-Semitism shit. I never caved. I thought that was like an insane, I thought it was an unimaginable cruelty and an unimaginable wrong to put on a person who was dedicated his entire life to fighting against the apartheid in South Africa, fighting against the apartheid in in Israel. So anyway, isn't designating a country for an ethnicity of people most insanely racist and freakish thing you can do? Yep, you and I called out the bullshit the entire time. It was always bad faith. Not only was it bad faith, but it came to America. They tried to, the Democratic majority for Israel is literally owned and operated by the same people that did this shit to Corbyn in the UK. And they tried to do it to Bernie Sanders. Obviously, Americans are too stupid to understand that, like, yes, a Jewish person could very well be anti-Semitic, but this time it was for good. So so every American was like, what are you talking about? He's Jewish. Shut the fuck up. But they did do that to Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, many others. Not to say that Bernie Sanders is anti-Semitic, by the way. Of course, I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying that, like, yes, a Jewish person can absolutely be anti-Semitic. Ben Shapiro exists, but you know, Americans are too stupid to recognize that, and it kind of backfired on the Democratic majority for Israel at the time. So, anyway, let's continue.
You had with Corbyn a moment ago. What did you say?
So we was experiencing homelessness here in Islington, and the council offered me a property, but it was taking forever to.
Bro, I'm telling you, Corbyn is like a once in a lifetime figure. I don't know. I glaze him a little too much. Like, I don't really. You never hear me glaze a politician like this. Okay, he has stories like this by the thousands. Okay, like he has. You go up to a person and be like, what do you think about Jeremy Corbyn? They'll be like, I was homeless and he gave me a house. Like, it's not even just like his broader, you know, policy prescriptions or anything, which I obviously align with. It's like he's also an unimaginably nice guy. An unimaginably nice guy. Okay? He would never serve the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, unlike me. Why is he better than Bernie? Just wondering. Because his positions on the Israeli apartheid is unshakable. Did he recently get into electoral politics as an elected? What? What? No, dude, he's been an MP since like the 80s. No. Or 90s? I don't know exactly when he started, but no, dude, he's been around for a very long time. What the You know, Bastani misses leg day? Listen, I'm not going to hit him with that. He used to be super yoked, and he's getting back into it. He's getting back in shape. I like it.
And at the same time, we was feeling domestic abuse, and I was stuck in this flat, and obviously we was unsafe. So I emailed Jeremy Corbyn directly, and he spoke to the council. Oh
yeah. Also, like I said, at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. So that is what's going to happen to you. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with Twitch Prime. His story is like some revolutionary propaganda. He's always there for the least fortunate. He dedicated his life to just making people's lives better. Yeah, it's like, it seems stupid. Like, it seems surreal how nice of a person he is.
And now we have this beautiful 2-bed council property, but it's like a converted house. It's so gorgeous, and it's in a nice area, and it's like from where we came from to this now, and it was because of him.
I promise that you weren't canvassing, you just happened to pass by and...
I saw him down there, I was like, I need to say thank you.
Represent us.
Dude, that's so... Dude, it's crazy. She said Jeremy Corbyn saved me from like homelessness and domestic abuse, dude. And it's not a unique story. There are so many stories like this. This man does this shit literally in his free time. God, he's so amazing. I love him so much. And I'm so angry. I will never forgive England for what they did to him. Okay? This is the type of shit they did to him. Rachel Riley defends Corbyn t-shirt and thanks fans for support. Jeremy Corbyn is a racist endeavor is the t-shirt that she posted. You know what he was actually holding up? You know the placard that he was actually holding up in the original photo? Oh my God, this article doesn't even show the original photo. Oh my God, Rupert Murdoch needs to be launched into the sun on a one-way ticket, dude. Are you kidding me? Like, Sky News, you guys are such demons, bro. Oh my Lord. It doesn't even show the original photo? Are you serious? That's crazy. That's crazy. It's literally, they buried the lead. Oh my God. The image has been edited from an original photograph of Mr. Corbyn being arrested at a London protest against racism in South Africa back in 1984 during his first year as an MP. It's not even in the article. That is like literally, oh my God. Even when they're like trying to defend it. Murdoch doesn't own Sky News UK. Oh, really? I thought it was still owned by the Murdochs. Whatever. It doesn't matter. They're demons nonetheless. Defend the right to demonstrate against apartheid is what he was being arrested for. Yeah. Demonstrate against apartheid, joined this picket. When was his photo taken? 1984, 1 year into him being an elected MP. Oh.
You know that we love you with all our hearts.
Thank you, darling. With your support.
Also, the Americans, we are with you.
Sí, todos los Americanos.
Yes.
It's voto para Jeremias y los izquierdistas, okay?
Dude, he's so, oh my God. He's such a, he is the prototype, dude. He is the prototype. He is the guy. He is that dude. He is that bitch, bro. He is that bitch.
How often a day are you being stopped by people? I know it's always happened because you're the MP.
Every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I bet. Is that a problem in terms of campaigning? Because disrupting you constantly.
But you actually meet more people walking around the streets than you do knocking on doors. Hello. Hello, love. How are you doing?
We've been walking, I swear to God, 100 metres, stopped 4 times.
Hey! How you doing?
Just crazy.
The right-wing press used his earrings as an MP as an attack in 2019. Brother, the right-wing press literally said that him biking everywhere was because he's a Maoist. Okay? Do you understand how horny they were for him? They said he has a Maoist bike. You think I'm joking? Let's look it up. Okay? Corbyn Maoist bike. Jeremy Corbyn hits back at the press from asteroids to Maoist bicycles. Revealed how Jeremy Corbyn welcomed the prospect of an asteroid wiping out humanity, attacked pigeon prejudice, and demanded a ban on Action Man toys. Revealed the evil monster haunting Jeremy Corbyn's past. Mar is snubbed for a day at church. Where's the Maoist bicycle thing? I remember seeing it at the time. It was incredible. I think it's one of those articles, like literally. It was the subtitle in the Times. The new Labour leader treated himself to a black cab at his home yesterday, abandoning his Chairman Mao-style bicycle his neighbours always see him riding. Other than that, Jeremy Corbyn treated much of the weekend like any other. You can see here Jeremy Corbyn eating a sausage, much like Stalin would. Sausages, a Stalin-style sausage he was eating. They said he was anti-Semitic because he said Epstein instead of Epstein, okay? They said he was anti-Semitic because he said Epstein. That's not even a dude. These people are not even, like, they were not playing around. That's when I truly realized, like, I always knew that, like, British media sucks, right? I never knew how bad it was. I'm telling you, that's why for years and years, I've told you since this shit happened, I told you for years and years, like, if you think the American press is bad, like, British press is so much worse, dude. Piers Morgan, whose show I go to all the time, you need to understand something. That mother was investigated for, like, hacking into the royals' phones, bro. They do not play around over there. They are insane. British media is insane, dude. Or not the royals' phone, a dead girl's phone. Anyway.
In every election for the past 40 years as a Labour candidate. This time, I'm denied that. So, I'm offering my services as an independent in Islington North. I hope you'll be able to support me. I'm looking forward to the PhDs that are going to be written that are going to analyse what happened in the Labour Party, that welcome Tory MPs who had voted for all of the horrible legislation introduced by David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak. I exclude Liz Truss from that because she didn't have time to introduce anything. They've been welcomed, whereas Labour MPs like me have been removed from the party. Doesn't that say something about the principles on which we're operating? When I stepped down as leader of the Labour Party, the party membership was hovering around 600,000, the largest membership.
The problem with the dynamic that Corbyn brought to the Labour Party was that, like, the youth vote was college students and a shit ton of he brought a shit ton of young voters to the Labour Party, okay? At a time when all of the Labour strongholds were suffering massively due to, obviously, at the time, 9 years of Tory austerity. And this created a fissure within the party, okay, which the centrist, center-right Labour Party Lib Dems basically took advantage of, okay? I mean, this is like Brexit sentiment is exactly what I'm talking about. That is the fissure. Obviously, London youth vote for Labour was understandably anti-Brexit. I myself am anti-Brexit. I was very openly anti-Brexit. There were other leftists in America who were not in agreement with me. My friends who were not in agreement with me. I thought that Brexit was stupid. It was foolish. It was reactionary nonsense. Okay? But there was a shit ton of Labour voters in the strongholds, old school Labour, lifelong Labour voters who are now in dire economic circumstances that wanted Brexit to happen. And Jeremy Corbyn was stuck without a good position on Brexit. That is probably what did him in, on top of the anti-Semitism shit. Wait, what? There were leftists who were pro-Brexit? That sounds wild to me. No, that's not wild at all. Anyway.
It's ever had. Money
wasn't just a pro-Brexit. He never gave a firm position on Brexit. He literally always ran away. He always ran away from giving like an actual position, which fucked him. People were like, what do you mean you don't have an official position? Which is ironic because it's like that shit literally, that was the correct position, okay? Being somewhat of a Eurosceptic while simultaneously thinking that it's good to have this kind of like trade. It's good to have this kind of trade and like freedom of movement for the UK, which was able to carve out its own very specific EU deal anyway, and was like pretty much autonomous regardless. Like that was it was the dumbest thing to do. Luckily, his Brexit minister helped him come up with good Brexit policies. That minister's name, Keir Starmer. All of this should be anti-EU. That doesn't mean Brexit was good, though. No, dude. The European Union is bad, but like, you know, the European Union is obviously a mechanism to reinforce neoliberalism in the entirety of the European Union. Having said that, however, this kind of collaboration amongst European countries is an absolute must. That's ridiculous, okay? So EU on principle is not a bad concept. Like, it's ridiculous. EU in its application is bad, but EU on principle is unironically a necessary thing. Like, I don't know. I just, let's continue.
In large amounts from very small donations from a very large number of people. Since then, party membership is much smaller and much more money comes
EU is not inherently harmful like NATO. I will say that. Like, I'm much more anti-NATO than I am anti-EU.
Very wealthy donors. The democracy in the Labour Party has been under sustained attack. Many Labour Party members have been suspended or expelled. Local parties have often been denied the right to choose the candidate they want, and despite promises that were made, candidates have been imposed on people in constituencies. Democracy is not always easy, it's often complicated, but it's more important and more vital than the headline of tomorrow or the ease of somebody sustaining their power today. I joined the Labour Party as a young man in 1966, and I frequently disagreed with the party's policies. For example, over the strategy on the Vietnam War of the Wilson government of that time. I disagreed with Tony Blair on the war in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and on his proposal to increase student fees. I wasn't expelled from the party, I wasn't suspended from the party. I was recognised as having a legitimate voice, along with a large number of other people. If you start shutting down dissent and preventing people from speaking out, it's not a sign of strength. It's a sign of weakness. A sign of strength is when you can absorb and listen to the other person's arguments. I want to see the end of the Tory government, this Tory government that has presided over this enormous growth in inequality within our society. Working class communities are about 20% worse off than they were at the time of the great crash of 2008-9. And this government that has persisted with so much draconian legislation, police law and others, which try to shut down the right of dissent and the right of protest. But what has become more depressing is the growing sympathy between the two front benches on economic strategy in our society. If I'm in Parliament and a government comes forward to put more money into the National Health Service, I'll be right behind them. If they want to put more resources into education and end the stress of testing, I'll be right behind them. But if they come forward with an economic strategy which further enriches the very richest in our society and further impoverishes the poorest in our society, then I will be speaking up against them and speaking up for a society based on social justice, based on need, and a world based on peace and environmental sustainability. Being a member of Parliament is an enormous privilege. And in Parliament, it means being prepared to take up causes that are sometimes...
He's also hot. He's always been hot.
Not popular. I was involved from the very beginning in the campaign for the innocence of the Guildford Four. 4 young people who were disgracefully imprisoned on life sentences for a crime they did not commit.
I'm a Corbyn gooner, 100%. I'm a gooner. I'm a gooner for Corbyn.
It wasn't very popular to take up that cause. But over years, we eventually won that cause and they were released. Being a member of Parliament is lots of long hours and hard work. I'm not afraid of that. This election is obviously a very important one, and defeating the Tory government is very important. But there's many diverse forces that are opposing this Conservative government. All kinds of political alliances will arise after the election. I say to socialists all over the country, stick to your principles, carry on campaigning in all the social justice and peace causes you do, and also participate in the election so you can advance the ideas of a socialist society. To the people of Islington North, thank you for your support. Thank you for all you've taught me over the years. It is a wonderful community, cohesive, united, determined to bring about social justice. Yes, we have huge issues to deal with, but we deal with those together. And it's my joy to work with all of our communities, in our community centres, in our schools, on our housing estates, to try and bring about a better world. Our campaign, and it is ours, not just mine.
When you hear him speak and the love that you feel for him, you have to also remember, like, dude, imagine how people felt about, like, Lenin. You know what I mean? Like, imagine how people felt about Ho Chi Minh. Imagine how people felt about Tito. Like, these are... Because, like, think about it. If you... Not everybody is going to align with their opinions, okay? But, like, imagine how people felt about Che or Fidel Castro. Like, can you... Dude, being a socialist, being a follower of Castro in Cuba at that time, you're like, oh, my God, the world is the greatest... This is the greatest opportunity of all time. You will never, ever... You will, of course, look at... No, he's nowhere near Lenin. Man, shut up. That's not the comparison I'm making. I'm trying to help people understand through contemporary politics, like, why there's so much idolization of, like, former socialist leaders, okay? Because those are the guys who actually also got shit done. They didn't get shafted and destroyed. This also demonstrates why there's so much, like, idolization of figures like this that remains throughout time, especially if people were alive back then, okay? That's the point.
For the general election is going to be people-powered. Check it out on votecorbyn.com and join in. Together, grassroots politics here in Islington North will get into Westminster.
Anyway. Yeah, I saw the photos, the zoom in on my marrow. Vote for Corbyn on Islington. Man, England could have had it all, dude. They could have reliably had it all. But what did they have? Oh, by the way, Donald Trump is, of course, glazing Nigel Farage. I mean, we haven't even talked about this piece of shit, Nigel Farage. Congratulations to Nigel Farage on his big win of a parliament seat amid Reform UK election success. Nigel is a man who truly loves his country, DJT. Just a little international fascist collaboration. We already talked about Keir Starmer receiving fewer votes than Jeremy Corbyn did in both 2017 and 2019. And also, the other incredibly damning aspect of this election is the fact that the Conservatives got 6.7 million views, 119 seats, and Reform got 4 million views. Reform is literally a fascist party, okay? Do not let any single person try to steer you in a different direction. Oh, they said views? Oh my God, votes. My brain is so broken. I'm a content creator, okay? I'm a content creator. I'm stupid, okay? Shut the fuck up. I'm a view count Andy. Listen to me. Let's get back to some serious shit, okay? 4 million British people went out and were like, oh, the fascist lad, I like it, okay? That is crazy. Don't just look at the seat number. You have to look at the fact that Reform got second place. Okay? Reform got second place in 98 districts. 98. Okay? No, not third. I'm telling you, this is... Oh my God. It is so fucked up. It is so bad. Yeah, it's the British Union of Fascists. Exactly. They are that. That's what they are.